Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and thank you so much for tuning into one of our talks today. Today, we are talking to the fantastic cast of Netflix's The Babysitters Club. We are joined by Sophie Grace, Malia Baker, Kyndra Sanchez, Momona Tamada, Shay Rudolph, Vivian Watson, and Anais Lee. And Sophie, I wanted to jump straight in with a question for you because you've had such a great opportunity to play a character who is really learning so much about what it means to be a leader within the Babysitters Club. And throughout the journey in the second season, we're also seeing a lot more of her allowing for more empathy and letting other people into that space a little bit more. And so how did you want to really explore that side of her journey and really kind of build and grow the empathy and openness that she's discovering herself as a character?
Well, in a 2D point of view of Christy, you just see a very bossy, smart, independent, kind of mean girl. But when you really look at her, she is just raw and she's like an onion. You just keep pulling away at some stinky layers, because she has all this good stuff in her. She just doesn't know where to put it. And she is so driven and she's so independent and she knows what she wants and she is assertive and she is such a natural leader. But then you look around and you see how every single time she puts her friends and her family first. And I think that's really admirable and really beautiful. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And Malia, your character's been on this really beautiful journey where in the first season, she was very self-aware of what she saw to be some of her flaws as a person. And we've seen her really embrace herself a lot more and discover a lot more self-confidence throughout the seasons. And so in shooting season 2, how did you approach her as a character and kind of explore that journey that she's going on and finding more confidence episode by episode?
100%. Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, I feel like at the core of Marianne, she is a very relatable character, as are all the characters in the Babysitters Club. Marianne goes through a huge arc on the first season, and throughout the second season, it just progresses. The first season, we get introduced to Marianne as the world's youngest senior citizen or oldest toddler. And I feel like that's a very accurate representation of how she dresses, how she carries herself. She's an old soul. That for her episode, she hangs out with Mimi, Claudia's grandma, and starts knitting. Who does it in their free time as a girl going in middle school? I feel like that's just a very Marianne thing to do. And by the end of the season, we see her directing a play and then starring in it. Then a series of fortunate events happen, getting our first kiss, getting the BSc, taking that beautiful photo that we all got to keep at the end. And then throughout the second season, we just see her grow as a person even more, as an individual and with her group, and see those dynamics kind of flourish as they're all growing together.
Yeah. And Kyndra, I wanted to talk about your character, Dawn, because you've talked about how you really relate to her as a character, and there's a lot of aspects that you carried over from yourself into who she is. And she really is someone who is never just thinking about herself, but she's thinking about everybody in the room, the community at large, the idea of charity, and a lot of larger concepts. And how did that kind of shape the way that you wanted to play around with her friendship dynamics as she kind of like grows with this group and they start to kind of come along on this journey with her?
Well, Dawn, she's really kind and she uses her voice to empower. She is really a confident girl who celebrates her friends' differences. She always has her friends' back, and she's always that friend that you can lean on, you can go to for advice. And she's just a very kind girl, and I think it's really important that people see that. And she's also spreading a message as well. And it's just really, I love being a part of such a wonderful show that kind of shows that.
And Momona, with Claudia, I wanted to talk about a lot of the external ways that she expresses herself as a character because, first and foremost, I think she has incredible costumes, but they also really show us how she's feeling in different scenes, as well as a lot of the artwork that she's creating is representative of what she's feeling inside, whether it's drawing candy or drawing things based on Mimi's history that she shared with her. And so when you walk onto set and you see her costumes and you see the artwork she's creating, how does that help you to find where she is emotionally in scenes because of that?
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that Claudia uses, art and fashion as a way to express her emotions and what she's learned. So, I guess when developing and create and fitting the costumes, it really helps me to be in like a costume or to be creating art in the scene that really resonates with what's going on internally. And I think this season we're really able to see a lot of kind of beautiful moments that she goes through as her character arc continues to grow. And I hope that fans like noticed all the little things here and there that maybe do reflect on that.
And Shay, with your character, I know that when you first took on the character of Stacey, that you did extensive research into type 1 diabetes and talked with a lot of people. But it's not just about the physical side of your performance, where you're performing what it's like when her energy is really drained from her blood sugar spiking at different levels, but it's also the emotional side. And we've seen her really deal with feeling shame to really kind of allowing her friends into this journey. And there's a really wonderful episode that you get to explore that in season 2. And from a lot of the research that you did and conversations that you had with people, what were some of the things that they told you about the emotional side of that journey with diabetes that really helped you with your character?
I think for the emotional side, people don't really talk about it as much, but I've observed it in some of my friends that I know who have diabetes, or even just in regular girls who don't have diabetes. It's a thing that a lot of teenagers struggle with, just emotions and feeling ashamed of who you are. So I think whether somebody watching at home has type 1 diabetes or they're just another teenage girl who can relate to this show, I think that they'll really be able to see that as long as you have people supporting you in other areas of your life, like the Babysitters Club, all of Stacey's amazing friends, you can push through it and you can get through it on your own too. You just need to believe in yourself. And I think it's a really incredible and really, really important message to share. And I am so glad that I'm able to do so through my episode.
And Vivian, you came into the show as one of the junior members of the Babysitters Club, but your character now is gaining a lot more experience. She's becoming much closer friends with the rest of the girls throughout the season. And through that is building a lot more confidence as a character as well. And so what was that like, getting to really play that journey of her developing a lot more self-confidence, both within the group and within these friendships?
Well, I think it was great that Mallory join the club. I mean, I was excited about it. Mallory was excited about it. And it was great to develop her character. At the beginning, I had to really think about how Mallory would say a specific line or act in a specific situation, just because we differ in a lot of ways. And then at the end, I could really look at a line and know how Mallory would say it. And so I think developing that character was very fun. She's a really fun character to play. She's quirky and, she sometimes doesn't have a filter, but it was fun to perform that. So I really enjoyed it.
And Anais, for Jessie, because of the work that she's doing as an athlete, as a ballerina, I wanted to talk about some of the parallels that you found, because obviously being an actor, there's so much work that goes into that before you're even on set, before you're shooting it, before you've even booked a job. There's 100 auditions, there's training, there's classes, there's productions that you're doing that maybe less people see than Babysitters Club. And so for you, in getting to really explore her passion as a ballerina, did you find that there were a lot of personal elements from your own experience in acting and understanding the level of dedication that it takes from her into her as a character?
Yeah, Jessie has this drive about her and she's very passionate about her ballet, and I feel the same way towards acting. Jessie's always working really hard on her dance. She's constantly late to BSE meetings because she was at ballet lessons, and I feel that way towards acting because I spend a lot of time researching each character that I book or I just have an audition for. And I definitely see myself in that part of me with Jessie. I definitely relate to her.
Yeah. And you're bringing up auditioning there, for all of you, that's such a huge part of being an actor, and so much time goes into it. And I know that Shay, you've talked about how you kind of learned along the way that sometimes you don't book a job. It's nothing to do with your performance. It might be that you don't have the same color hair as someone whose sibling you're going to play, or you don't look enough like the person they've already cast as the parent. What was the moment for you, Shay, that you started to really kind of step back and see the bigger picture and understand that it's not even just about the performance that you give in the room as to whether you book a job or not?
I think it was actually pretty early on. It wasn't even like getting super close to booking something and then I didn't, which has happened a bunch of times. It's a very normal thing as an actor. And as heartbreaking as it is sometimes when you really, really want that role and then it just doesn't work out, you do have to realize that it's not necessarily something you've done. And I am a firm believer of whatever happens is meant to be, and whatever doesn't happen wasn't meant to be. So I think that's another really good mindset if anybody watching is going through difficult times of not really believing in yourself or feeling really down about something not happening, an opportunity not coming your way. Just know that if it was meant to be, it will happen, and if it wasn't, it won't. And to keep pushing through it, keep believing in yourself, be your biggest cheerleader, and it will eventually happen for you.
I think that's really wonderful. And then for you, Vivian, Kyndra, and Anais, you've all stepped into this show once it had already started filming. And obviously you have the ability to look at some of the episodes, look at some of the earlier scripts, but you also have the books as a great resource as well. And so for the three of you, I was interested in terms of looking at who your characters were going to be and what the Babysitters Club world was going to be. What were the most useful elements and tools out of elements like scripts and out of the books for you to really look at to find your characters?
Well, I think it was good having the cast to be there. I mean, in season 1, they were all really super welcoming, and I was so glad that Anais and I could go into this together. And so they actually did help with, some tips about, coming up with who your character is, and so they helped a lot. They're all great.
Definitely adding on to what Vivian said, all of the girls were super supportive, super welcoming and kind. They reached out with open arms. If Anais, Vivian, or I needed advice on something, they would always be open to giving us that. I just love working with such talented individuals, and it was definitely a joy to be part of this.
Everyone was so welcoming when I came on the last 2 episodes, the last season. And I definitely relied on the books a lot for research on my character. When I got the director's session for it, I went through multiple articles about the character Jessie. And when I booked the part, I bought all of the Jessie books, and I read them. I read most of them, and it helped me a lot of discovering who my character was, and it gave me a lot of insight as to who Jessie really is.
And Malia, with your character with Marianne, I love that the show still always talks about her relationship with her mother and what it means to lose a parent at a young age, and there's so many really beautiful scenes throughout this season which continue to explore that. And so for you, how have you always thought about what you think her relationship with her mom would have been and a lot of those backstory elements? Because obviously it's something that we're just seeing through the way that your character describes it on screen and talks about it emotionally.
I don't think I've ever gotten that question before. This is so exciting. So thank you for that. I feel like with Marianne, she has that piece of her life that in her mind she thinks is missing. This is what would have happened if her mom was there. This is a normal relationship with her mom, which is why when she gets so close to Dawn and her family, it feels like a part of that hole was kind of filling up. But throughout the second season, we see that hole that she's had in her mindset for such a long time, it's actually doesn't really have anything to do with her mom. Of course, there's going to be opportunities that she has missed because of her, and that she really wants and she's craving and that she wish she had. But these girls, they're the one that kind of fills that hole over time. And we're all kind of like each other's moms in the long run when you think about that, on screen and off screen. These girls cares about me and I care about them. And the same goes for Marianne and her best friends. They're a family, they're a chosen family. So I feel like if Marianne was able to speak to her mom, it would honestly just be asking a ton of questions about stupid things around how do you do that knit thing with Mimi, or bigger life questions like how do you deal with dad sometimes, things like that. But overall, I'm just really grateful to be a part of this and to have these many girls and the parents in the show that kind of fill that hole as well.
Yeah. And Sophie, you've gotten to explore such a great parental relationship between your character and her mother, played by the wonderful Alicia Silverstone. And it also feels like in the second season, there's a more adult version of that relationship between the two of them. They're able, both of them are able to open up to each other in more expansive ways and really let each other in emotionally in different spaces. And so in working with Alicia on this season, what are some of the spaces in which you feel you really got to explore the dynamic of that very unique bond coming from being raised by a single parent in an even more deep and more intimate way together?
Well, Christy and her mom are each other's biggest fans, and they have an adorable relationship. Like, they're mother and daughter first, but they're also best friends second. And it's really important because to watch them like actually open up to each other and ask each other for help and talk to each other for once, because both of them have this tendency to try to do everything on their own and never to ask for help. But when they finally come together, they have these really cute moments where they're just there for each other, and it's just like a perfect representation of what a family is.
It really is. And then Momona, you get the wonderful opportunity to explore Claudia's relationship with Mimi, but it also feels like there's aspects to Claudia's personality because of that relationship with Mimi. And so when you first started working on that relationship dynamic, did you find that you were looking at Mimi as a character and then thinking about the influence that that has on Claudia and who she is as a character for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mimi is like such a big role model for Claudia. And in the first season, we get to see a lot of kind of the time that they spend together. And even in the second season as well, we see, all the things that Mimi has taught her. And I think when Claudia is experiencing or like is in difficulty, I think she always does recognize her grandmother and recognize like what she would do in that situation. And I think that's truly beautiful because I find in my life like I'll look up to so many people and definitely take their advice and what they have to say. So yeah, I think Claudia definitely discovers that and I guess takes that in as a character.
Wonderful. And then lastly, I'm going to come to each of you really quickly, but I just wanted to ask about what you feel that you've really learned about acting and yourself as an actor from working on the show. And Vivian, I'm going to come to you first.
Okay. Well, I've definitely learned a few tips here and there. Like I said, the girls have been a good role model. They've definitely taught me a lot. Even before this, they all kind of reached out and asked how we were all feeling, and they said, if you wanted to chat about it, that'd be okay. So I've heard a lot from them. Yeah.
And for you, Kyndra?
I would definitely have to say I definitely learned that to be open to change on set and in this industry. There will be lots of times where things would switch up on you, whether that would be lines or your how you would act in a certain part, and you just have to be really open to that. And so I learned to be super open-minded, as well as kind of knowing how it would feel to have divorced parents. Dawn, if you've seen in season 1, has divorced parents, and I live in a household with 2 parents, and so getting to really play that and dig in into the feelings of Dawn was really special.
And Anais?
I grew up on set. I've been acting for a while, but this is my first time going on as well as a series regular. So I learned a lot on set. Like Kyndra said, like change. Stuff happens on set so quickly. There's always change of lines or like a change of schedule. And sometimes like you wouldn't get your lines until like the very night before. So I learned how to adapt to the changes on set.
Yeah. And Malia?
I completely agree with what everyone said. I feel like in this project in particular, it's such a passion project that we were all able to grow and to flourish as individuals and as a group as well, just like as we do in the show as well. I mean, everyone behind the scenes, we're all mostly just these amazing women entrepreneurs like we are in the show as well. And so it was really inspiring to see. I think I got to shadow a lot of the directors and the producers' work, which was amazing for me. I mean, as an actor, it's kind of like an in to go into directing or go into producing. There's just so many aspects and different places in the film industry that you can go into once you're in it. But we kind of went through puberty on Netflix, so it's a big journey nonetheless. And although there was some challenges, I feel like at the end of the day for the BSC, and I'm so grateful that we were able to grow in such a safe space.
Momona, for you?
Yeah, I think this has taught me, especially working on a show with all these girls, how to balance a lot of my life as well. When you're on set, it can be very difficult sometimes, balancing school because we all are still like regular students, learning how to balance that and making sure that we're keep having time for ourselves along with our work. But I think it also taught me how much I really do love acting and how much I really would love to pursue this as forever.
And then Shay, for you?
I think aside from growing immensely as an actor, being on the set has helped me grow as a human in general, which is more than I could have ever asked for. It is something that is so special to me to just be able to grow up with these amazing women. And I think I've learned so many different things just from being friends with all of you guys, from talking to you, from being with you every day, to being on set. And like Mo said, learning that this is what I want to do with my life, the thing that brings me pure happiness, which is so incredible. So yeah, being on set makes me happier than I've ever been before, and it helps me grow as a person and as an actor. So I think that's amazing.
And then last but of course not least, Sophie, for you.
Being on set is just like when you're born to do something, it comes so naturally. And I feel like for all of us, just being on set is just like being at home. Like we know we're supposed to be there and we know why we're there and we know what we're doing. Or I can't speak for everyone, but for me at least, that's how I feel. I walk onto a set and I'm not nervous or anything. I know I belong and I know I'm about to do a great job. And I got to do that with a bunch of really cool girls alongside me. So it was really fun.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to all of you, not only on the show, but such fantastic performances in the series. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.